Hello and welcome. Why am I talking like this? To Maturity Rules. This is a holiday show. And we are on season 2, episode 3. This is a podcast about Mizzou Athletics Majority, which is Olympic sports athletes. Sorry, it's finals week. My brain is not working. So, let's quickly introduce ourselves, what we cover, and what we're hoping for in the new year from the sports that we cover. It does not have to be a sport that you cover for Rock M Nation, by the way. Since I have updates from some other of our team members, I'm going to go ahead and start this time. I'm Karen Steger. I am the host of this podcast and the Olympic sports manager here at Rock M Nation. I cover softball, swimming and diving, and gymnastics. And what I'm hoping for in the new year from the sports that I cover for softball, please make the postseason. And I'd like to see the pitching staff take shape in a way that didn't really happen last year, or we may be talking about some new coaching. Swimming and diving, I would just like to see some progress. Let's see how head coach Griever's plan of training with NCAA qualifying times in mind continues to work out. It seems like it's going great so far. With gymnastics, I am eyeing another trip to nationals for my favorite team in the black and gold. True offered up some softball hopes. He said, "My hope for the team is that it strengthens its bullpen. Losing key pitchers like Lauren Krings 2 years ago and Taylor Pinnell this past year is never easy, but if the team wants to find success it found a couple years ago, a strong bullpen is the first step." Sophie's track and field hopes are, "My hope for the team is that with the new jumps coach, Coach Harris, the team will develop new jumps athletes and try to snag some points during meets and places that they need them. With star javelin thrower Valentina, oh my God, I can't read today, guys. Valentina Barrios, and the welcoming of new transfers and freshmen who excelled during the cross-country season, such as Raymond Kipcoach, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Monica Winjiku, I think that's right. I hope the distance team will exceed expectations during the upcoming season and on their first meet on July 10th. She is looking forward to seeing the first few meets in Columbia." And then Matthew also added in some wishes for volleyball. He said good luck to Maya Sands in her professional career, which was just announced today that that's going to be starting. And he's also hoping that his flights to and from the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville don't run into any delays. Okay, I'm done with those updates. Let's go to Colin.
Yeah, hello, I'm Colin Simmons. I'm covering wrestling and a little bit of volleyball for Rock M Nation. And I made my New Year's wishes.
And soccer.
And soccer, formerly soccer. I can't forget about that. But my New Year's wishes are centered around the wrestling squad. So just from a team's perspective, I want the team to get healthy finally. It feels like it's been since like the beginning of the season that we saw a fully healthy squad. And, even last year, that was the main root of why it was a little unsuccessful. And it's starting to look like a little too similar to that season. So just health would be the main thing from a team's perspective. And then kind of more individual, but I'd like to see a second semester breakout from Josh Edmond and second semester transfer Teague Travis. I think that'll be really interesting to see what Travis can bring to the table. It's his final season of eligibility. He's a Columbia native, so it's a homecoming for him, but he's a 2-time national qualifier, so he should be able to bring something to the table to this squad. We don't really know where he's going to play yet, but it seems like he'll probably compete with Jay Conway at 157 pounds for that spot. So I'd like to see Josh and Teague kind of step up in the second semester.
How about Henry?
Hi, I'm Henry. senior in the J School, and I'll be covering Mizzou baseball primarily for Rock M Nation. And I definitely think my biggest wishes for their season are to just maintain a decent level of competitiveness when it coming to SEC play. And then for me personally, I just want to see a fully healthy pitching staff. It feels like last year, every time pitcher would come back, Ian Losey being, I think, the primary example, they get injured. And I think they were just forced to use a lot more of the bullpen than they were predicting coming into the season. So I just want to see that primarily. I want to see how they do at full strength with the pitching staff.
Thank you. And then Dylan.
Hey everyone, my name is Dylan Heinrich. I am primary beat writer for both volleyball and the women's basketball team. In addition, I do a little bit of softball coverage. I'll focus on my two beats. For volleyball, I'd love to see them add an outside hitter in the transfer portal. We've seen it with Michael Vernon, with Kalen Alexander. I think there's another one waiting in the wings. We just got to see who it is, that explosive player for next season. For women's basketball, I'd say the goal is 6 conference wins. I think that we'll talk about it a little bit later, but that's a clear sign of improvement over past years, and that's going to be a clear sign that you're beating some of the basement dwellers and competing with some of those NCAA tournament teams at the top of the SEC.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So in this episode, we'll be covering wrestling, diving, volleyball, gymnastics, and then we'll close out the show with women's basketball. So we will get started with wrestling. It looks like there has been a bit of action on the mat since we last talked to Colin. 9 athletes placed at the Cougar Clash, and the Tigers, who are now ranked number 14, dropped their conference opener at Northern Iowa this past Sunday. So, Colin, what are some of your thoughts on these matchups? I know you didn't actually see the UNI matchup since it's on that stupid platform Flow Wrestling, which costs like an arm and a leg to watch. So whatever you can share with us is appreciated.
Yeah, I'll have more on the Cougar Clash because I was actually able to watch some of that and read the stats a little bit more closely. But that was a really interesting tournament because it came 2 days after the Hustle and the Heartland tournament. So Coach Smith kind of decided to rest the majority of the starters. Only 3 of the usual starters played or wrestled. And like it makes sense when you think about it. But their fourth place finish was poorer because of that. I feel like they could have done a lot better than that. Maybe not taken first, but it would have looked like a better finish. There were some nice surprises from the depth, though. Specifically at 141 pounds, Easton Hilton and Owen Ools took second and third, respectively, filling in for Zeke Seltzer, the usual starter. And then the most notable bout of that tournament really was Hilton taking down Danny Pacino. He's the 13th ranked wrestler in the class from Illinois, and he actually beat Seltzer at the home duel in mid-November. So that was a huge win. And then the other highlight from the Cougar Clash was Jay Conway at 157. He was one of the usual starters that did actually suit up. He took second, also losing to an Illinois wrestler who was ranked number 7th, Cannon Webster. But Conway suffered an injury earlier in the season, and it looks like he's starting to come to form. So that's nice to see. And then from Northern Iowa, obviously I didn't actually get to watch that one, but some of the notes that I made from it is that I don't really see any true national contenders on this team outside of Aiden Sinclair right now, which is really going to hurt the team from a team standpoint for their finish at nationals. But and it's starting to come clear to me that at the heavyweight position, Jarrett Stoner's ceiling is only so high. He hasn't had a single upset victory this season, and him being on the lighter side of the heavyweights has clearly hurt him. He's faster than most, but he just has no takedown power because everyone else is just so much bigger than him. And then kind of something that surprised me from that one is that Cam Steed is still out from that tournament. He took a hard fall, as Coach Smith described it, at the national duels. And that's been one of the biggest breaks for this team. But it kind of makes sense with the big break that is coming up, that the coaching staff just wants to see Steed get fully healthy and have him really come on strong in the second semester when it matters. So that's kind of my main notes from those two events.
Awesome. Thank you. So what's next, I guess, is in the new year, Saturday, January 3rd at Iowa, it looks like. Hopefully you'll get to see that one
Yeah,
on
hopefully.
the TV. Or hopefully you're getting a gift card to Flow Wrestling for Christmas.
Maybe.
Just what everybody wants.
Hmm.
I'm sure those of us that cover softball will be in the same boat when undoubtedly some of Mizzou softball's games in Florida or wherever are only on like Flow Softball, which is a nightmare. Anyway, death to Flow Sports. Moving on. I'm going to talk about diving real quick. So various members of Mizzou's diving team took part in the USA Diving Winter Nationals in Midland, Texas. I think that actually just ended yesterday. They were there for about 4 days. Collier Dyer and his partner Max Flory, who is, I don't know what school he dives for, but it's not Mizzou, took bronze in the 3-meter synchro event. And Dyer also took 9th in the 3-meter. Have you guys ever watched synchronized diving? It is like legit crazy that it's insane that people can do this. Well, one, dive like that. Two, dive at the exact same time as another person and sync it up that flawlessly to earn a bronze medal. Bravo. And then also one half of the Colbert diving brothers, Derek, took 8th in platform, while Texas transfer Tanner Bronton took 9th. And then on the women's side, the only women athlete I could find participating in that event was Mia Henninger, who took 20th in the platform. And then I also saw on their social media that Giselle Eicherman Gregorchuk, that's probably how you say it, I don't know, took part in a team championships for Berlin. I'm sorry, I don't know what that meet was. It was not the Winter Nationals. It was another meet entirely. I'm guessing for her native Germany. She took first in the mixed platform synchro event. So that would be an event where she is competing with a guy, and they took first in their event. So that's pretty cool. Next up for the Tigers, they will travel to number 12 and 7 Louisville for a dual meet on January 9th. And follow that up with a duel against the number 21 men's team, Kentucky, on the 10th. And that is all I have to say about diving. Moving on, that was so fast, to volleyball with Colin and Dylan, who recorded a very special crossover episode with our KCOU friends at Service to 7, or KCOU friend, I guess, because it seems like only Jeffrey was there. So give us a teaser. I know it was released today. Ready, go.
Yeah, so I helped put that together, of course, with the great vision of Karen Steger. Unfortunately, Aaron Siegel had travel issues. He was in Vegas all day, which we wish him all the best. But we got Jeffrey, Matthew, and myself got to hop on. Colin sent in a video, which was very nice of him. So we talked a little bit about everything this season, Dawn Sullivan's extension, transfer portal, and what are some of the next steps? We're going to talk about it a little more here, but we're viewing 2026 as a transition year, a developmental year, which I think for a team that's going to have a lot of sophomores is a big impact. Colin, if you want to talk a little bit more, because I know you didn't get a chance to join us on the podcast, so you've got some more thoughts that I haven't talked about.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for this season to be kind of that rebuilding stage for this team. After losing pretty much all your outside hitting and middle blocker production, unless you absolutely knock the transfer portal out of the park, I don't think this team, just on paper, is going to be able to compete as well. And then also Marina Crownover hitting the portal. That's going to hurt as well. So I think you get a couple young pieces, you let those young pieces play a lot, and then you just hope that 2027 carries into something that you can build on.
Yeah, I think when you look at the team they have now, you're looking at transition pieces like Zoe Matias Lopez. Obviously, is going to be huge for this team. Makala Baglio got a lot of starting experience. We talked about Paige Felder as an outside hitter who was a breakout contender. Claire Morrissey was once a highly rated high school recruit who hasn't quite broken out, but will only be entering her junior season, so she might be taking that jump. From setter, you have both Sierra Dudley and Nina Mandovich, who Dudley was their setter when they went to the NCAA tournament the first time around in year one under Sullivan, and Mandovich was brought in to, as Jeffrey said, from Coach Sullivan, kind of change up the pace, especially when things were looking too predictable under Crownover. So, again, it's all about finding that balance. They still need a lot of help at middle blocker. They brought in some freshmen, but you can't have freshmen exclusively play in the SEC. That's a recipe for disaster. So, again, a middle blocker or two. And then, again, I talked about it earlier, but one of those home run outside hitters, Michael Vernon, was brought in and immediately led Mizzou in production. Kalen Alexander was brought in and immediately led Mizzou in production. This team thrives when it comes to bringing up big time transfers, especially on outside hitters. So if you can find someone else who is either has that power four talent and just couldn't get on the court on an elite program, or someone like Kalen Alexander who was elite at a mid-major program who can transfer that over to the SEC, I feel like there's a lot of room for success for this team. Again, I think the tournament is definitely not out of the question next year, but the team is going to have to be more creative, especially because you look at the production you lost both in the portal and from graduation. Things are, I wouldn't say looking dire, but the team on paper next year isn't as good as the team is on paper this year. So there's a lot of question marks around volleyball right now.
Yeah, I still am in a state of shock that Marina Crownover is gone. I mean, maybe she saw the writing on the wall that the team was going to kind of be in rebuild mode and wants to go somewhere where she can win, and that'll be her final year, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how things have changed so dramatically, so quickly. But there was good news announced today. I mean, for people who are no longer technically going to be with Mizzou volleyball, but still really awesome that Maya Sands and Kaylin Alexander were named AVCA All-Americans. And to Maya Sands, which I talked about with Matthew Switch earlier, she signed a professional contract with LOVB Houston. So that's pretty cool. And wishing her all the best. I believe she is now going to be the second Mizzou alum playing for LOVB to join Emily Bader, right? Is that right, Dylan?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe they're still in the league. So yeah, I think we're at 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is. I feel like I see stuff about her often. So writing wise for you, is there any sort of volleyball stuff y'all are working on?
I've got nothing currently planned. I'll probably put together a transfer thought, either people coming in or people coming out. I think, again, especially we'll talk about it, but women's basketball is right in the thick of things as well. So with the holidays, it'll come out at some point, folks. It'll be out.
Sounds good. Yeah. We got other things to worry about that are in season sports at the moment. So, that'll be something to think of. And like at this point, we don't really know who they're looking at or anything like that. So it would just be like, oh, maybe, that seems good, or that would be a great addition. Can they get that person? So yeah, we're just kind of in wait and see mode right now, I guess. Oh, and Jenna Gabriel was announced to be an assistant at Arizona. So good luck to her. Haven't heard anything about Cullen Irons, though, I don't think, yet.
Nothing yet.
Right.
Again, the more time
Okay.
goes by, I feel like I'm expecting him to get a high-level job in men's volleyball, either head or assistant coach. So it's just more news that we're waiting on. So we'll be sure to mention it on the pod next time, because it should happen hopefully in the next couple weeks. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for volleyball coverage. Moving on to Karen and Henry's favorite sport, gymnastics. So, I kind of dragged Matthew along with me. He was a willing participant. But Henry also was there. We were at Mizzou Arena to take in the black and gold meet from very far away, the top of the student section in section 111 at their new home at the arena. I have to say, if you saw my pictures on Twitter, it does look like we were like miles away from the floor, especially with beam and bars. I don't know about Henry's vision, but like I have, with corrective lenses, pretty good vision. And I couldn't have told you who was performing on beam or bars without zooming in stupid close with my phone camera. So if I wasn't doing that, I really couldn't tell you who was on either of those apparatuses. So that was not great. What did you think about the environment, Henry?
I thought, obviously, the layout of it was really, really cool because it finally, like, set in for me that is kind of like Shan said, that they're really kind of there as an SEC gymnastics school, like, with the whole layout.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, from our view standpoint, I think bars for me was kind of the cutoff where, like, I needed to look at the sheet to verify who was on. Like, as far as beam goes, I could see pretty well, but, like, for bars, yeah, I had to look at the sheet most of the time to, like, double check who was going. So in terms of arrangement, I think really the only way it could work is if we were maybe on floor. Because I just think with the allocation of Mizzou Arena, unless we're taking the spot where radio usually goes, I don't really see a way that I feel like their hands are kind of tied in that sense where there's not really anywhere else to put medias covering it besides floor if you want to get the best viewpoints.
And Ryan said that they moved us where they did because he tested it out from the regular media seats for basketball, and you basically only, if you were sitting in one of the first two seats, you could see the whole thing, but if you were any further over than that, then your vision, your sight line was going to be severely compromised, so they decided that this was the best. I did ask about radio, but I think it sounds like that's where the broadcast people are going to be. Like when SEC Network's there or whatever, that's where they'll be. So, yeah, I kind of miss Hearns from that respect. Yeah, I'm interested to see what it's like when there's more people there, how loud it gets. I was talking to our HR person at the J School, who is a huge gymnastics fan. She and her daughter were at the meet, and she said that it's just not as loud. But it also could be that, like, she said that, like, the Tigers lost so many also louder personalities, and like Jocelyn Moore and Amari Celestine, that like those were people that like really got the crowd pumped up so much. So we're interested to see who's going to kind of take that leadership role. Because like we know that like Hannah Horton, amazing athlete, but like she's pretty quiet. So that'll be interesting. So outside of that, I have to say, I thought that they looked fantastic. They showcased six 10.0 start value vaults and more on the way. Rayleigh Jackson led the vaulters with a 9.90. Bars, well, we've already said was hard to see, looked impressive. I checked in with gymnastics guru Nate Salzman, and he told me he thought they looked really good since I couldn't really see them, so I trust his judgment. Beam was epic, like absolutely unreal. There were 3.995 scores and 2.99s. And I think they were judging pretty fairly throughout the meet. So that actually was incredible. Floor had 4 scores of 9.9 or higher, including Kennedy's 9.95. So I did some math. If you put the top 5 scores together across all 4 apparatuses, and yes, I know this was an exhibition meet. This is not real. This is not actually the way that this will work out. Their score would have been a 197.95, which is really damn good. So yeah, amazing. So let's go through. I'm going to ask you, Henry. I like to, in my recaps, award instead of an MVP and MVG for most valuable gymnast. So I'm wondering who your MVGs were and which apparatus were you most impressed with, and then I'll share mine.
I think the apparatus was definitely beam for me, and I'm glad I could see. My vision allowed me to see as far as that, because I just thought, yeah, the three 995s I thought were really impressive. And yeah, I think who my MVGs definitely were Kamara and Rayleigh, because I mean, Kaya, we've kind of seen these kind of performances from her consistently throughout. Obviously when she was performing on an international level.
Yes.
But I think Kamara performing at the level she did, I mean, the lowest she scored, I'm pretty sure was a 9.85 on vault.
Yeah.
So to perform like that in an exhibition where I definitely value pretty high, I value it, I think, a little more highly than some, just because of the new arena setting, and there's probably a lot of pressure that they feel to perform really well. I think the fact that her lowest score was a 9.85, she would probably be my overall MVG of the meet, with Rayleigh in a very close second, I think.
Yeah, they're both on my list too. So Rayleigh is just a sophomore. This was the first time that she's even done all around. So this was the first time that she's ever even collegiately performed bars, and that was her lowest score. She got a 9.85 on that, but Shannon said that she had an injury her senior season and wasn't able to do bars this past year, and basically the only apparatus we saw her on mainly was beam. She did floor a couple times, but I think it's gonna be really awesome to see a full healthy Rayleigh Jackson season, because she got a 9.9 on vault. She landed that 1.5 for the first time ever. It was masterful. That was the highest score on all the vaults. And then, like I said already, she got the 9.85 on beam. Her floor routine, she said, is from an anime called Avatar. The only Avatar I knew of is the movie. I don't know. I'm old, guys, I guess. But her routine is called Waterbender, and it is so freaking cool. It is so cool. She got a 9.85 on that. I honestly don't know how, because it looked amazing. And then she got a 9.95 on beam, so she was one of my MBGs. Also, like Henry said, Kamara, she got a 9.85 on vault, and she only did a Yurchenko full. She is training and will be ready for a 1.5, so that'll be another 10 start value vault for Mizzou. She got 9.9s on bars and floor. She is such a performer. God, she's so good. And a 9.95 on beam for a freshman in her first collegiate meet. Like, that is amazing. And then my third one, actually I had 4, sorry. Kaya, her vault was a little wonky, but she made up for the 9.75 on vault with a 9.95 on bars and beam, and a 9.9 on floor. And if you think about last year, she didn't even make lineups for bars or beam. So we're finally seeing an all-around season from Kaya Tanskanen, which is incredible. And then lastly, I want to shout out Kennedy Griffin because she had one of the top beam scores. She scored a 9.9. She hasn't done beam since her freshman season. She also had the team high on floor and got a 9.95 on her new Beyonce routine. And she had a 9.80 on vault, and she also only did a full, but she is capable of doing 1.5, so that's going to be yet another 10.0 start value vault that the Tigers have. Just a couple more things, I swear. The Tigers are entering the season with their highest ever preseason ranking. They were ranked number 7 by WCGA. That is amazing. They received 2 votes for first place? Like, what? Oh my God. Just incredible. Next up for them, January 4th at 2 p.m. versus Iowa State. Please read my inter-squad week recap. It just went up today. And if you haven't read my leotard dissertation, you can read it on rockmnation.com, but you can also read it on MU Tigers because Ryan posted it on there for everybody to see. Yay, me. From here until opening day, I'll be trying to figure out lineups. Best of wishes to me. And looking at how the new NQS formula and how that's going to change anything going on. Well, Henry isn't covering gymnastics for us. He is writing for Truman's Tale, so read his stuff too. Read all the gymnastics stuff. And now I'm done talking about gymnastics. We will end this show talking about another sport I really like to watch, but I don't cover, women's basketball with Dylan and Henry. What's happened since the last time we've been here? And guys, we're doing great on time.
We'll get into the weeds a little bit. Henry, I'll let you talk about Illinois because I wasn't there. Just continuing to see good progress. Since we last talked, I think we recorded right before the Cal game, and it came up right after. Huge win for the Tigers in a team that made the NCAA tournament last year on a practical buzzer beater with a Shannon Dowell layup. They've looked really good. They squeaked out a win against SIUE, lost to what is probably going to be either 6 or 7 seed in Illinois in the tournaments, but kept it close the whole game. And then they went to SLU and took care of business in a sloppy game where you pull out the win by double digits. Again, when coach comes into the presser and said we didn't play well, and you look at the scoreboard and you win by 16, like, there's some good signs afoot. So the team continues to look better and better. We'll talk about it in a little bit. They got 2 more non-con games that are relatively easy as far as non-con games go, and then you've got conference play starting up, which will be the real demon of it all. So it's an exciting time to be covering women's basketball.
Yeah. As for the Illinois game, due to a final exam that I very much would have avoided otherwise, I was not able to attend it. But
oh, no.
I talked to a couple people who I talked to a couple of other writers who were there, and they were overall just really encouraged by what they saw. And I kind of point to, again, because I've referenced this before, but I just think in that game in past years, I think the team might have tended to roll over and not have the response they had when the going got tough. So I thought not only did they kind of have a strong response in that game, but like in the SLU game, I thought they responded really well, and obviously very balanced scoring in that game too with Chloe, Grace, and Shannon. I think they each had 16 points, so that to me is a really good sign. And even though SLU I think is a bit lower on the net rankings than they were in previous years, I think still the fact that they're taking care of teams like that and the way they are definitely points to encouraging signs to a 5-6 win campaign in Southeastern Conference play.
Yeah, I was there at that SLU game. It was funny because it was obviously the last time they went to SLU. Before that, they had lost. That was my freshman year. Mm-hmm. So they go back and they win this time around in a game that was actually their first true road game in over a month since Tulane. didn't feel like a true road game. It was a pretty 50-50 crowd. There was a lot of Mizzou support in St. Louis. Shocker. But for the most part, it was an electric atmosphere, I would say. It was sloppy. Mizzou committed, I think it was 16 turnovers. It was above 15. I remember that. You look back at the Illinois game, and it was over 18. So that's still been an issue. They had a really good run there where it was 8 to 10 turnovers, which they hadn't done that since, I think it was before they hired Pinchton, which is crazy. The stats don't go back any further, unfortunately, that I could check. But they've really done a good job taking care of the ball. These last couple games have been blips against some teams that are really going to pressure the ball, which I think as we head into SEC play is going to be very important because, of course, the SEC, in case you didn't know, is good at women's basketball. Just, like, pretty good at it. So it's...
That's crazy talk.
I know, right? It's... That SLU game, though, again, Chloe Sattel scored 16 points. In Illinois, Lisa Thompson scored 11 for her first double-digit scoring. Grace Slaughter and Shannon Dow, like you mentioned, had 16. I talked to Coach Harper afterwards, and it felt like a quiet 16 for both players. Just a lot of getting to the free throw line, finding easy layups. So they weren't doing it in a loud way, but if you can rack up those points, and again, when you score 80, you're going to win a lot of these matchups. So this is a team that's in a pretty good spot, definitely, as we head into conference play. I know we talked about it, about somewhere between 5 to 10 wins. The SEC, again, as we mentioned, is a different animal in itself. I'm stalling for time as I pull up the Warren Nolan stats for what they think is going to happen this year. They predict Mizzou going 5-11 and 17-14 throughout the entire year, which puts you at above 500, puts them in the top 100 of the RPI.
I would be ecstatic with that.
That would be wonderful. So you look at teams below them: Florida, Auburn, Georgia, A&M, Arkansas. They play them 6 times. And then teams that are right above them are Mississippi State, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. They don't see any of those teams having double-digit SEC losses, anywhere between 9-7 and 7-9. So they play everybody once in the conference except Arkansas, which helps when you play arguably the worst team in the conference twice. That's a big advantage. So they play a lot of those bad teams at home as well. So I know I'm kind of using this as a conference preview, but you're looking somewhere at like those 5, 6. If you can get that 7th win, then I think we're really talking about tournament hopes. Like when you get to that 6 or 7 threshold, you're over 500. You will have beaten a team that's likely making the tournament. Your only losses, for the most part, will be coming to tournament teams. So they've taken care of business in the non-con. Obviously, the Troy loss at home doesn't feel very good on paper. But other than that, you lose a tough home game to Illinois, and you lose... Oh, God, I'm blanking on the other one. Oh, KU in a neutral site. So those are both quality losses as much as you can get one of those. So they don't have as many silly losses as they did last year during this time. So it's all about racking up wins against a bunch of other SEC teams that are in similar spots, that either just hired a new coach or in the process of rebuilding, or they're still developing their best players. So for all those reasons, you've got to be able to go head-to-head against these other teams that won it and take care of business. So
I think if they're shooting well and they can try to cut. I mean, they're never going to not turn it over. That's just the way it is. But if they're shooting well and keep up the defensive pressure, I feel like they can go toe-to-toe with some good teams. I'm interested to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, I'd say like a rough estimate of like 12 turnovers, more or less than. I think that's... Oh, geez. Am I unmuted? Okay, yeah, 12 turnovers I think is roughly where we're looking at if we want to get to the difference between, I guess, a good ball handling game and a bad ball handling game, especially with Shannon Dowell as their new point guard, as they've kind of shuffled things around. Assistant coach Eliza Freund called her a mini point guard, as in she's just starting to get point guard responsibilities, which I thought was a really funny anecdote. So it's a team that continues to just develop and improve.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. I really enjoy myself at checking them out at the games thus far. And like, I know that the Illinois loss was 8 points. It did not feel like 8. Like that 8 points was, that spread grew at the end. It was much closer than that. And Illinois is a good defensive team. I was quite impressed with them. Yeah, I just like this team. Kelly Harper for president. So I guess next up, the Tigers are back in action for 2 more times in 2025. They take on Northern Alabama on Sunday, and then they will close out the non-con a week after that on Sunday the 28th against UMKC before starting the new year against Ashton Judd and the Texas Longhorns on New Year's Day. Exciting times in Columbia. I will be there for that game. I cannot wait. Anything else about basketball?
The free throw shooting, I think, has been really encouraging.
Yes.
It's been an issue on the men's side, but I think for the women's team, I think it's been pretty consistent throughout the whole of the season. And I think against Illinois, they also did a good job of staying or competing really well in the rebound game as well. So I think if they, as long as, because I just think there were maybe some cold shooting stretches in that game that kind of like allowed them to lose control maybe of the tempo later. So I just think that can be an issue sometimes, but I don't think that'll be enough of one where it's going to cause them, multiple losses in a row as we head sort of down the stretch. So
yeah,
definitely some
the difference
for sure
between this team and the team that lost that exhibition game is like night and day.
Night and day.
That team does not exist anymore. Thank God.
I talked to Harper I asked her after the SLU game both about free throws and rebounding because they get out rebounded at SLU, and they said for free throws it's something they practice, it's something that everyone on that team really takes pride in. And then when it comes to rebounding, it was all about that. Just they need to put in that extra effort. They need to box out everybody. And when you look at those, I think pride and effort and just the willingness to kind of embrace their roles is what's made the difference so far. It's what Harper talks about. When I talked to Liza today, she talked about it. And then every time we talk to a player, it's that same sort of idea. So you can see that it's trickling down throughout the program. There's a lot of buy-in from the team, and I think that everyone feels and is bought into this vision this year and that idea of we can go as far as we want to. So I think they've got big stuff brewing in Harper's program.
Love it. Love it. Love Kelly Harper. So I guess that's all from here. Thank you, everyone, for following along. Read all our content at rockmnation.com. Or read Henry's content at Truman's Tales. Plugging another website. What is this? And follow us on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the TikTok. And we'll see you next time. Happy holidays, everybody. From me and my Lego poinsettia. M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.
Z-O-U. My God, you guys.
Henry's Rescue.
The end.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.